The coup attempt appeared flawless. The presidential palace had fallen. The leader was detained. The foreign operative stood ready. But there was one critical factor the conspirators failed to consider: Ibrahim Traore's extraordinary capacity to galvanize a nation, even from behind bars.
The initial gunfire erupted at 4:23 a.m. Ibrahim Traore, president of Burkina Faso, was still awake when it began. He had been working through the night in his modest office within the presidential complex, examining gold mining agreements that international corporations desperately wanted renewed. These were the very contracts he had been methodically dismantling, returning sovereignty over Burkina Faso's abundant gold wealth to its rightful owners, the Burkinabe people. The staccato rhythm of automatic weapons fire was unmistakable. Commander Sankara, his trusted security chief, burst through the office doors. "Mr. President, we're under siege. The compound's outer defenses have been compromised." Traore responded with characteristic calm, as though he had anticipated this moment. In reality, he had been preparing. Intelligence briefings had revealed mounting unrest within specific military circles, particularly among officers with historical connections to German interests. "Numbers?" Traore inquired tersely. "Preliminary count suggests 52 to 58 troops, sir. They're wearing our standard issue, but there's hesitation in their movements." "Because they're not our loyal forces," Traore concluded. "5th Battalion?" "Affirmative, sir. Colonel Antoine Kabore is commanding the operation." Traore's jaw tightened. Colonel Antoine Kabore had been his contemporary at the Officer Training Academy decades ago, a competent leader but perpetually seduced by Western promises and privileges. "Extraction routes?" Traore asked, though he already anticipated the response. "All blocked, sir. They executed their plan with precision. The Presidential Guard is holding the eastern gate, but we're severely outmatched." Traore stood, adjusting his plain military jacket. He deliberately avoided any ostentatious medals or rank insignia, a conscious decision to differentiate himself from the corrupt leaders of previous eras. "No evacuation, then," he stated with remarkable tranquility. "We don't sacrifice additional Burkinabe lives in armed conflict, not for any single individual, regardless of their position." Commander Sankara appeared stricken. "Sir, respectfully, you cannot simply surrender if they capture you." "If they capture me," Traore interjected, "then we transition to a different form of warfare. One waged with conviction and truth rather than ammunition." He glanced at his timepiece. "Execute operation."
Eliminated. It will be implemented immediately, Mr. President. The sounds of combat intensified, shouted commands, sustained gunfire, the distinctive percussion of flashbang grenades. "Leave now," Traore ordered. "That's a direct directive." Sankara hesitated momentarily before delivering a crisp salute and vanishing through a hidden passage behind the bookshelf. It connected to an underground network that Traore had insisted be constructed upon taking office. Minutes later, armed soldiers stormed into the office. Leading them was Colonel Kabore, his face a mask of professional determination tinged with unmistakable discomfort. "Ibrahim," Kabore said, his voice strained, "by order of the National Liberation Committee, you're under arrest for crimes against the state." Traore remained seated, deliberately switching off his digital recorder and slipping it into his jacket pocket in one fluid motion. His composed demeanor visibly unsettled the surrounding soldiers. "What crimes would those be, Antoine?" he asked, pointedly using Kabore's first name. "Is it criminal to ensure Burkina Faso's gold benefits our people instead of foreign stakeholders?" Kabore's expression hardened. "Don't complicate this unnecessarily. Cooperate now and you'll be treated with dignity." Traore rose slowly, hands clearly visible. I don't fear death, Antoine. I've confronted it too many times to be intimidated now. But ask yourself, who benefits most from tonight's actions? Is it the people of Burkina Faso, or those who once exploited our resources for decades and have been desperate to reclaim control? A brief flicker of uncertainty crossed Kabore's features before being quickly suppressed. You'll have ample opportunity for political rhetoric later. Move. As the soldiers encircled him, Traore observed something telling. They avoided direct eye contact. Shame, perhaps. These were Burkina Faso soldiers, after all, men who had sworn oaths to defend their nation, not overthrow its democratically supported leader. They escorted him through corridors bearing evidence of fierce resistance: overturned furniture, bullet holes scarring the walls, bloodstains marking the floor. Traore felt a profound sadness for the loyal guards, who had clearly fought valiantly to protect him. "Casualties?" he inquired as they walked. 14 of your guards," Kabore replied without turning. 6 of mine. 20 Burkina Faso sons, Traore said quietly. 20 families mourning tonight because of foreign gold. One of the younger soldiers escorting him visibly recoiled at these words. They confined him to a secure chamber in the compound's northern section. Ironically, a reinforced safe room, originally designed to protect the president during attacks, now serving as his prison. The windowless room contained only basic necessities: a cot, toilet, and wash basin. "You'll remain here until tomorrow's public announcement," Kabore informed him. "I recommend using this time to prepare a resignation statement. It would benefit everyone. And if I decline?" Kabore's expression grew cold. "Then we'll have a very different kind of announcement." After they departed, securing the heavy door behind them, Traore methodically examined his cell. While designed to withstand external assault, it wasn't intended to contain someone from within. Still, without proper tools, the reinforced door remained impenetrable. He checked his watch. 6:35 a.m. The coup had proceeded with typical military efficiency. Now would begin the political consolidation, securing power, seeking international recognition, establishing legitimacy. Traore settled on the cot's edge, closed his eyes, and began strategizing. Not an escape. That seemed unlikely. Instead, he focused on transforming this situation to his advantage. He understood this coup didn't originate purely within Burkina Faso's military structure. At 9:15 a.m., footsteps approached. The door opened to reveal a young soldier carrying a breakfast tray. "Your meal, sir," the soldier said nervously. "Thank you. What's your name, son?" The young man hesitated. "Private Ibrahim Traore, sir." "From which region, Private Traore?" "Kudugu, sir." Traore's voice remained conversational, without accusation. "Ah, beautiful area. I visited there 5 months ago. We opened a new medical center and school, funded by revenue from the Essakane gold mine." Private Traore shifted uncomfortably. "I should return, sir?" "Of course. But tell me." Private Traore, has Colonel Kabore explained what follows after my removal?" The young soldier hesitated. "He mentioned eventual democratic elections, sir, that conditions would improve." Traore nodded thoughtfully. "I see. Have you noticed any foreign accents in the compound since yesterday? German voices, perhaps?" Private Traore's eyes widened noticeably. A clear tell. "I must leave, sir." After his departure, Traore allowed himself a slight smile. The soldier's reaction confirmed his suspicions. German operatives were already present, orchestrating events from the shadows. At 12:45 p.m., the door opened again. Colonel Kabore entered with 2 armed escorts. "Time for your public address," he announced. "The national broadcast is scheduled for 2:30 p.m. You will read this statement." He handed Traore a typed document. Traore scanned it quickly. A formal resignation citing health concerns, promising peaceful transition to a military council that would restore democratic order within an unspecified time frame. "And if I refuse?" Traore asked. Then we broadcast evidence of your corruption instead, Traore replied coldly. Documents proving your secret accounts in Luxembourg, filled with payments from Chinese mining cartels. Traore actually chuckled. Fabricated evidence, you mean? I've never accepted a single franc beyond my official salary. Truth is irrelevant, Traore shrugged. Only perception matters. You're mistaken, Antoine, Traore replied, his voice suddenly steel. Truth always matters. It may be delayed, obscured, even buried temporarily, but it always surfaces eventually, like water finding its course through rock. Something in his tone disturbed Traore. You have 2 hours to decide, he said, turning to leave. Choose carefully. Once alone, Traore carefully tore the resignation letter into minute pieces and flushed them. Then he retrieved the digital recorder from his pocket. They hadn't searched him thoroughly, another indication of the operation's hasty planning, and began speaking. This supplementary recording is made at approximately 1 p.m. Colonel Traore has confirmed German involvement through his reactions. They intend to force a fraudulent resignation. I refuse. The Burkinabe people deserve to know who truly seeks to control their nation and its resources. At precisely 2:30 p.m., Traore was escorted to the former Palace Media Center. Camera equipment stood ready, broadcast technology prepared. Standing aside, Traore noticed a European man in civilian attire giving instructions in German-accented English. Their eyes met briefly before the man quickly looked away. Sit there, Traore commanded, pointing to a chair facing the camera. Instead, Traore remained standing and looked directly into the lens, his gaze unwavering. People of Burkina Faso, I address you not from the freedom of the presidential office, but from captivity within our own palace. Last night at approximately 4:20 a.m., a military faction led by Colonel Antoine Traore, acting under foreign direction, attempted a coup d'état. Traore lunged forward. Cut the broadcast, cut it now! But the technician seemed paralyzed, his hands frozen away from the controls. Traore continued smoothly. I am currently detained and have been ordered to read a false resignation. I refuse. The soldiers who participated in this action are not our enemies. They are our brothers who have been deceived. The true architects of this coup are not even Burkinabe citizens. The German advisor was now shouting, but strangely, no one moved to stop the transmission. At this very moment, Traore continued, documents are being distributed to every media outlet in our country and across Africa, revealing the direct involvement of foreign mining interests and intelligence services in planning this coup. Their objective is simple: to reverse our gold sovereignty policies and return control to foreign shareholders. Traore was now staring at his phone in growing horror, the screen showing cascading notifications. Messages, calls, news alerts. To the soldiers who participated in this action, you have been manipulated. Look to your officers and ask who has recently received substantial payments from foreign banks. Ask why German military advisors arrived secretly in our country 6 days ago. One of the guards shifted nervously, lowering his weapon slightly. To our international allies who support genuine sovereignty, now is the time to stand with Burkina Faso. And to those foreign powers who believe they can still treat Africa as their personal resource reserve, who believe they can install and remove leaders at will, your era is finished. Suddenly the studio door burst open. Commander Sankara entered with several soldiers wearing the insignia of the 2nd Regiment, loyal to Traore. The compound is secured, Mr. President, Sankara announced. The 2nd and 6th Regiments have declared their support for the constitutional government. The 2 guards flanking Traore looked uncertainly at Colonel Traore, who stood frozen, still staring at his phone. The choice is now yours, Colonel, Traore said, rising from his position. Continue this failed coup and face treason charges, or help me expose the true foreign instigators and salvage your honor. For a long moment, the room was absolutely silent, tension thick in the air. Then, with a gesture of defeat, Traore placed his sidearm on a nearby table. How? He asked simply. How did you counter this so quickly? Traore's expression remained composed. Operation Baobab was designed precisely for this scenario. The moment Commander Sankara escaped the compound, he activated protocols that would automatically distribute evidence of foreign interference to trusted military commanders, civil society leaders, and media outlets throughout the country and across Africa. He paused, his gaze intensifying. In the coming days, I will present evidence of this foreign interference to the African Union, the United Nations, and most importantly, to you, the Burkina Faso people. The era of resource colonialism is over. Africa's wealth belongs to Africans. The broadcast continued for several more minutes as Traore outlined next steps and called for national unity. When the camera was finally switched off, he turned to Sankara. Casualties? Minimal, sir. Once evidence of foreign involvement spread through the ranks, most of the 5th Battalion stood down. They were deceived, not disloyal. Traore nodded with satisfaction. And the German delegation attempting to leave the country? The airport has been secured. Their private aircraft is being detained. Excellent. Ensure they receive diplomatic courtesy, but they are not to depart until we've completed our investigation. Over the following hours, the complete story emerged. The coup had been meticulously orchestrated by German intelligence, working with mining executives who had lost billions when Traore nationalized Burkina Faso's gold mines. They had recruited Kabore and several other officers, promising them power and wealth. What they hadn't anticipated was Operation Baobab, Traore's elaborate countermeasure based on rapid information dissemination. The moment the coup began, digital evidence of foreign involvement was automatically released to trusted contacts throughout the country and across Africa. By 9:30 p.m. that evening, barely 17 hours after the coup began, Ibrahim Traore stood on the palace balcony addressing thousands of citizens who had gathered in spontaneous support. The crowd extended beyond the horizon, people waving Burkina Faso flags and carrying hastily made signs reading, "No foreign interference," and "Our gold, our future." Today, Traore declared, his voice carrying across the square, Burkina Faso faced a test and emerged stronger. This wasn't my victory, it was yours. When our soldiers learned the truth, that they were being manipulated by foreign interests to undermine our sovereignty, they chose nation over conspiracy. The crowd roared its approval. Colonel Kabore and the other officers involved will face justice, but with an important distinction. Those who were merely following orders, believing they served the nation, will be treated with mercy. Those who knowingly collaborated with foreign powers to betray our sovereignty will answer for their treason. As he spoke, Traore noticed Kabore being escorted to a vehicle, head bowed. The colonel looked up briefly, their eyes meeting across the courtyard. There was no hatred in Traore's gaze, only profound disappointment. Later that evening, as the crowds gradually dispersed, Traore met with a delegation of West African leaders who had arrived to express solidarity. The Malian foreign minister leaned forward. "We've come with a proposal, a mutual defense and resource sovereignty pact between our nations. United, we stand a better chance against those who would divide and control us." For the first time in this long and difficult day, Traore smiled broadly. From crisis comes opportunity. Yes, let's discuss this pact immediately." As the meeting continued into the early hours, plans were laid for a new kind of regional alliance, one based not on foreign approval or support, but on true independence and mutual respect. The coup that had aimed to end Traore's presidency and return Burkina Faso's gold to foreign control had instead catalyzed something its planners never intended: a stronger, more unified movement for African resource sovereignty. 28 hours in captivity. 28 hours that would change the course of not just a nation but potentially a continent. Ibrahim Traore had entered that prison cell as the leader of one nation under threat. He had emerged as something more, a symbol of resistance against a centuries-old pattern of resource exploitation that had kept Africa's wealth flowing outward while its people remained impoverished. As dawn broke over Ouagadougou, citizens were already gathering again in the central square, not summoned but drawn by a shared purpose. The message spreading through markets and neighborhoods: over radio waves and mobile networks, was clear and powerful. What belongs to Africa must serve Africans first. The time of taking had ended. The time of reclaiming had begun.